Page 12, the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm going to go through the system I use to learn a piece of music, and let's see what we end up with. I like to look it over and get an idea of how long it is. And I see it's about 1.5 pages of music. Now, it's longer than that, but as far as learning the music, it's about 1.5 pages to deal with. The clef signs, the treble and bass clef, I always check them because they're not always treble and bass clef. They will be for us for a long time, but I still go through and check them. You want to get into the habit of the routine is what I'm after. And the time signature is 3/4 time, so there's only 3 beats in a measure. And I glance through it to see if there's any tricky stuff coming up. And I see a bunch of quarter notes and half notes and dotted half notes. And I see some sharp signs over on page 13 and some flat signs. So we got some black keys to deal with. I'm going to take it one hand at a time first to make sure I know what each hand is doing, because the hands are playing at the same time most of the time, and I just want to get each hand worked out first before I put them together. Right hand, you're starting with little finger on C here, and it's quarter notes. 1, and then for the half note, just bring the thumb down. Leave the hand where it is. This is thumb. Really, I guess we're in this position to start. But then after you play it, now you can collapse the hand down. We just moved hand positions. One finger and then the red. We kind of crawl around a little bit. We do a lot of that. So the end of the first line, you're here, and then go ahead and come down, and because in the second line, you need second finger. The second line, the end of the second line, the half note's with third finger, and then the quarter note is with second finger. You see there's 2 G's in that measure. They're repeated. We call that a repeated note when it's played more than once. Well, it's the standard fingering style that I use and teach, is when I need to move the hand around, I can do it easily on repeated notes. And this is what they're doing here. You're in this position, and we need to be in this position. So we just do it on the repeated note. We're just here. I mean, you have to lift up on a repeated note. You can't connect it. And that gives us a chance. We take advantage of that and change position. And, stick around, you kind of need to get where you can do this without looking at the keyboard eventually. You can feel this moving. I could go to any finger, it doesn't matter, but right now it's here. So we're back here. Now, at the end of the third line, you're here, and they want you to come down here. This sort of move I don't like. I really don't like using the same finger like that. So I'm going to adjust the fingering. See, this is a beginner's fingering because this is beginner music. You're a beginner, and you stay pretty close to this 5-finger position. You're spreading out a little, but you're still staying close to it. Well, if they're going to do something like this, I'm going to push you a little bit. We're going to get out of the 5-finger position a little more. So in that third line on page 12, the last 2 measures, it's here. Here, I'd rather not. So I'm going to change the fingering so I can cover all of the notes in both of those measures in one hand position. So what I'm going to do is here, rather than third finger, I'm going to just 4. This business of covering 4 and 5 fingers here with a note in between is something we do a lot in piano, even with small hands, so I would encourage you to do this. 5, 4, 2, 1. I got them all right there. Now you don't have to cover them all at one time. You can let the hand kind of come down as you're going it. Here, see right now I've already moved. Here, see I moved again. But I don't have to use the thumb on both. And that's what I'm after. You can get away with the fingering in there because of the articulation. But right now, when I first learn a piece of music, I want to connect everything if I can. And so this allows me to do that. So the last 2 measures of the page 12 here. And then go on to clap. Thumb under. If you're doing the C major scale, and I hope you are, this movement is in the scale. So if you're doing the scale, you can do it in here. The beauty of knowing the scales, well, there's a lot of advantages to know them, but one of the biggies is when you run across that kind of finger crossing the thumb or whatever. In music, you can already do it. It's no big deal. Top of page 13 is yeah, you can already do it. So, if you haven't been doing the scales, it's time to get in there. For this, do the C major scale, the beginner's part, 1 octave up and down. I got videos on it. You will get tired of me saying it eventually. I put the link to the playlist for scales in the description of every video, or at least I'm trying to. So you can just bookmark that playlist or save it somewhere, a shortcut or something, and you can go right to it anytime you need a scale. Okay. That's what I'm suggesting you do. Second line on page 13, with the last, now we get the chords. We get the 4 chords. Here, just block chords. 1, 2. Try and get them down at the same time if you can. And then the third line is the 5/7 chord. You hear it. Last line. It's here. You're in this position because you want 5 finger. Here. F sharp. And now D flat. Well, I'm here, so I'm going to use the same fingers on the black keys as I had on the white. So the second finger is going to go to the D flat, and the third finger is going to go to the E flat. So the last line again, the second measure of the last line, it's 1 here. And that's an F natural there in that measure, because the sharp in the other measure is only good for that measure. It's not, you don't do anything. It's I know it sounds weird, but apparently that's what they want. They want weird, so there you are. Left hand. You're starting out with the chords. 1 chord, and then the 4 chord, and the 1 chord. Second line is just notes. All dotted half notes. Let's go over to page 13, second line. Now the left hand gets a melody. That's tied for 2 majors. And the third line is here. F sharp, just use second finger here. See, my finger's only on the F sharp long enough to play it, but the hand position is here. Okay. Last line on page 13 for the left hand. The last 2 measures. Again, since these fingers are on the white keys, I'm going to use them on the black. So it's here. So once I have an idea what each hand is doing, now I'll try and put the hands together. And when I first do this, I probably hesitate all over. I don't care. I just want to know which fingers are working together. So at the beginning, it's a chord here and here. So it's these. But the left hand has to come up when I play the G because the left hand has a rest. And then here. Now the left hand is tied. These, get the idea? Let's go over to page 13, last line. It's you're in this position. Then it's here. They're the same note names in each hand, it's different fingers. Okay. So once I get the hands sort of working together, then I go over it hundreds of times or whatever, and I slowly work out the hesitations. Keep it slow, but no hesitation. The beat has to be a steady beat from start to finish. And this is a bit of a kicker. We get into the habit when we practice, we just start at the beginning and try and make it through each time. Everybody does it, I do it. It's a really inefficient way of practicing. You need to find where you're having problems and work on those. The stuff you can play, set it aside. You can play it already. If you keep spending your practice time playing what you can already play, then you're losing out on spending time on what you need to. So practice on the hard parts. Get those ironed out. And when you get those ironed out, then you can go back and put it all together. You'll learn pieces much more quickly that way, rather than always keep playing stuff you can already play. However, once I get the notes and the rhythms and all that worked out, no hesitations, then I'll add the articulation or the phrasing, the expression. We're lifting up between phrases. Here at the beginning, at the end of the first line, lift up. You have to lift up anyway. It's a repeated note, but this is a little longer silence. You you're like taking a breath. Go down to the last line on page 12. The last measure, you're here. Lift up. You lift up. Here. This is how come you can get away with using thumb, because you got to lift up anyway, so you can use the same finger. I just think that's a poor fingering style. Sometimes you have to, but if I don't have to, I'm not going to. Here, lift up. Here. Now when I get to the end of the first line on page 13, I'm here. To go to the next line, the melody's here. Don't connect this and this. Lift up. It's like here. So it's just a speck of silence. Into the second line on page 13, you're here. Well, before I go to the third line, I'm going to lift up. I'm not going to connect them. When I first learned it, I connect them. But now that I'm putting in the phrasing, I connect it. I disconnect. And I have staccatos in the right hand here. The hands at the wrist. Go back to the second line. The last two measures of the second line is here. And I'm on the keys and I'm bouncing off each time. Now, if it's real fast, you have to do that, but make it a small motion. If it's slow enough, put your hands on the keys each time first. It's lift up. So I'm lifting up here. So once I have the expression, the phrasing, the articulation in, then I'll think about the dynamics. At the beginning, it's MF. It's mezzo forte, which is sort of loud, and that applies to the melody. Here it's in the right hand. Whatever you think sort of loud, not loud, just sort of loud. These chords need to be soft. So you're sort of heavy here, and you're light here at the same time. And you stay in there until page 13, second line. It's in P, mezzo piano, sort of soft. They come down. These need to be very soft, very light, just there. Third line, you back up to moderately loud. Soft. Moderately, echo that. Stay moderately soft until the last two measures. You have the hairpin to get up louder. Each one gets a little louder. Each note just a hair louder. Don't get up super loud. You can go up to sort of a moderately loud to loud in there. Just yeah. See, this idea of playing louder in one hand than the other, this is something you can do when you're practicing the scale. Since you're doing the scale anyway, practice the scale playing one hand loud and one hand soft. That's, at the same time, you're heavy in one hand and light in the other. And then switch it. Like this. And this. Soft. This way you get the idea, you get the feeling of playing one hand heavier than the other. And it could be either hand. This way, when you get it in music, you want to bring out the melody, you just do it. You can already do it because you've been practicing it with the scales. Now, once I have the dynamics under control, sort of, then I think about the speed. Moderato is just in the middle. If you were going to sing it, it's slow would be that. Fast would be, it's just in the middle. That. please don't copy me. That's just one way of doing it. I play by feel, so I play it different every time I play it. Depends on how much coffee or wine I've had to drink. You enjoy it. Remember the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 1. Feel it. 1. I'm exaggerating them so you can hear them better, but you feel them. Throughout the whole thing, you should feel these natural accents. Now there's a DC al fine at the bottom of page 13. Remember, DC means go back to the beginning. Al fine means go to fine. And the fine is at the top of page 13, the end of the first line. There's also a thin and thick bar line there. That's the symbol, remember, for end of a piece. So when you get down to the bottom of page 13, you go back to the beginning and you play the first 4 lines again. So once you have this under control, and you can play the notes okay, no hesitations anywhere, come back to the video, let's play it together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the louds and softs. I'll do the staccatos and the phrasing, but we're just checking notes and rhythms is what this is for. And we will do the DC al fine. So I'll give us 3 counts because it's in 3/4 time. 1, ready, go. 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 3. 2, 3. 2, 3. 2 to the beginning. 2, 3.